All right. Good evening, everyone. Sorry, I don't have a gavel. Welcome to the public hearing for budget. Thanks to the public for the folks that have come out. Just for a little process, we're going to start off with a summary of this year's fiscal budget. I'd like for Kim to be able to go through that. There are probably going to be questions, so after Kim's finished with that, if you have a question, please come to the podium, turn on the mic, recognize yourself, and ask away. And then after that, we'll discuss the petition warrant article for conservation. So with that, I'll turn it over to Kim to give a summary of the budget. Budget committee members, you have a packet in front of you, and then anyone in the public. If you don't have a packet, Kim has some additional if you'd like to have one. Oh, sorry. They're over here on the corner if you'd like to grab one. Okay.
Great. I hope everybody gets a packet. Lynn worked very hard on it. She puts them together, and those great pie charts, all Lynn. A lot of good information in there. Okay. This is the fiscal year 2025 budget that we're talking about. The work that the Budget Committee has done and what we're doing tonight is the foundation of town meeting. This budget will go to town meeting on Wednesday evening, March 13th. Tuesday, all day, March the 12th, is when you vote here in this room. That's the election of officers and zoning amendments. But Wednesday evening is the time when we all get together and we'll be debating this budget. Citizens do have the right to submit petitions to include items on the warrant. This year we had 3. We had one that was a zoning petition, and we had 2 petitions that will go to town meeting on Wednesday evening, one of which is $900,000 to buy the house that's next to this building, and another one for $30,000 to be placed into the Conservation Land Acquisition Fund. So you'll be hearing about those tonight. The general operating budget that you're discussing tonight is up 7.1%, which is a bit lower than the one that I announced this time last year. It shows that we're continuing to experience some increases in goods and services that are impacting this budget as well. Of the $12.9 million budget that you'll be discussing tonight, the operating budget represents just over $9 million. The operating budget includes funding to run all of our departments, payment of town debt, boards and committees, town insurance, legal fees, pretty much everything that it takes to run this town. To soften the impact of the more than 8% increase that the budget had last year, the Budget Committee and the Selectmen reduced payments into the capital reserve funds by just a little bit over 50%. These reductions were restored this year, so you'll see a 115% increase to transfers to capital reserves. So there's about a little over $1 million that will go into, well, there's $1 million that was approved to go into capital reserves, and then that $30,000 petition, you'll also see that on your paperwork there. When the payments to capital reserve funds are factored in, the increase in spending that will impact the tax rate is 13%. So now I'll review some of the highlights of the budget, and then the Budget Committee will look for comments and questions from you. I mentioned there will be one bond issue. That $900,000 is a bond issue. Since it's over $100,000, there will be a public hearing on that. The Selectmen will hold that, and the polls will be open for 1 hour at town meeting. That $900,000 is to purchase the property, and any money left over from the purchase of the property, and this is if it passes, the remaining funds will go to make improvements to the police station. So many of you may have seen that petition. It will go on the warrant that's posted by the Selectmen. So this, because we got a petition warrant article, that $900,000 is reflected in the amounts that you're looking at, and we've also included principal and interest payments into the budget. If it does not pass at town meeting, those amounts will be taken off the budget, and it will not affect our tax rate. There'll be a motion to reduce those amounts. Capital purchases, these are the things that we purchase using capital reserve funds. They're our savings accounts, so these items do not impact the tax rate. They do lower the capital reserve accounts. We'll have $60,000 for repairs to the Tracy Memorial Library, $150,000 for the purchase of a 1-ton dump truck with sander and plow, $341,000 for the purchase of a 6-wheel dump truck with sander and plow, $50,000 for ventilation equipment at the sewer plant, and that money comes out of the sewer department, $22,600 for the purpose of maintenance for the cemetery maintenance. This year, the amount for cemetery maintenance was taken out of the operating budget, and the capital reserve fund will be used to pay for those expenses. There's $55,000 for the purchase of a fire utility vehicle, and $132,303 for the payment of the fire truck lease purchase that was entered into by town meeting a few years ago. The other piece of the budget is revenues. The budget includes an estimate of revenues. This estimate will be revised in October when the selectmen set the tax rate. Revenues are up in the budget this year due in large part to the $900,000 bond, which we show as a revenue. It's also shown as an expense in the budget as a capital outlay. We do the best we can estimate revenues. We don't estimate too high because then it gives kind of a false impression as to what the financial situation is. More than $1 million comes from motor vehicle registration. So that's Will. Will collects the vast majority of it. So those of you who buy expensive cars, that's a big help to the town's revenue coffers. So the preliminary audit we just received, I think, a couple of days ago. It will be posted to the town website if it isn't already. The town is in excellent financial condition thanks to the oversight of the treasurer, Steve Thoreau, and the day-to-day work of Lynn Lewis in managing the town accounts. I'd like to thank all the department heads for their hard work in putting this budget together, and to the budget committee and selectmen who really work hard on this. It's a lot of decisions that have to be made, and it's a lot of work. And to the 3 budget committee members who are not running again, hope you'll stay involved in this process, and it was great working with you over this 3 years, I think 3 years, so thank you.
Great, thank you, Kim. So with that, we'll open it up to the public for questions. So again, I just ask if you have a question, feel free to walk up to the podium, turn on your mic, and recognize yourself. Peter.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
I'm sure there are people who said, oh no, not him again, but I told Kim, my comments are only about 45, 50 minutes, but I'm sure no one will mind. But anyway, I've got a couple of general comments about the budget. First comment is a 13% increase in the budget for the town in 1 year is extremely too much. I have seen no need, and having worked in these budgets in various times in my life, that increase cannot be sustained, and I'm 100% against you folks approving a 13% increase in the budget. The sheets that Kim gave out, I've looked over several times, and a couple of just glaring comments. There is a comparative budget sheet that lists the transfer to capital reserves is over $1 million. The next sheet talks about details. Well, there's no details on what capital reserves are going to get this over $1 million. And I think that's an oversight that I think should be corrected, and hopefully in your deliberations up to this point, you know what capital reserves are going to be increased. One other point that I think has to be mentioned. We all know we got tax bills this year. There's been a lot of talk about the increase in the taxes, and one of the results, maybe cause of the increase in taxes, was the reevaluation of the town. Now, it's a pretty dull subject. The town had the assessed valuation of a little over $2 billion. I I've got the sheet that the preliminary tax rate sheet that was given out to give to the state to determine the assessed valuation of the town. At that time, 2022, which was a prior year, had $1,293,000 and a whole bunch of other numbers after it, value. After the reevaluation, the valuation of the town was increased by 58%, which brought the value of the town that we live in to over $2 billion. So the question would be, so what? It used to be an old rule of thumb that if you increase the valuation of the town, you can generate the same amount of income to run the town without touching any tax rate. And if you people do the math, and I'm sure somebody has done it besides me, that this over 58% increase in the assessed valuation would definitely help the income of the town, because everyone who's got their new tax bill knows they're paying a lot more. Well, that money has to go somewhere. I could speak for myself. My land value has doubled due to this evaluation. So the extra money that I gave to the town could be used for everything you folks are talking about. So I'm hoping that in your deliberations as a budget committee, you will take this into account, along with the fact that a 13% increase in the operating budget is not sustainable and should be, in my opinion, down in the 2-3% increase. So getting this budget passed, excuse me, I think has got to take some real sharp pencils, and to decrease the town cannot afford having a two-digit increase next several years. Won't be long before we'll double our expenditures and increase the tax rate drastically. So my only comment would be, or plea, is for the budget committee to look hard and see if they can cut down some of these expenses. And although the details are not completely enumerated in all the sheets, you folks have had them. I've seen the books. I've looked at those great big thick books, and there is a lot of details that should have some hard looks at. Thank you.
Thanks, Peter. If you are interested, we do have a sheet that shows for the capital reserves where that money is going, which capital reserves they go to. If you're interested in that, we do have that.
I can get it, but it wasn't in the packet.
Okay, all right. Yeah, no worries. Thank you.
Can I provide a comment?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
So, Peter, just so that it's on the record, that 13% plus that you're talking about includes within it the assumption that the town passes the $900,000 McEnroe building bond. If that doesn't pass, it goes down to 5.7%. Down to 5.7%. So just keep that in mind. Excuse me?
I'm sorry, is it 4.7 or 5%?
My math showed 5.7, but it could be 4. The point is it goes down from the 13%. So just one of them.
Talk about what I
Yep.
have in front of me as the numbers.
Yep.
Whatever happens at town meeting will obviously change everything.
Thank you. Sure, go ahead.
Is this on?
Yeah.
Thank you. Bob Lyon. I'm not sure this is the right time to ask the question. It's a line item I'm just curious about. So for the budget summary, it's in the packet. I'm just curious because I'm not familiar with the budget details. Culture and recreation, it's proposed we're going to spend $1 million, almost 10% of the budget. It's like a 8.11 to be exact. I'm just curious, what goes into culture and recreation that would lead us to be spending 8% of our budget? I'm just curious, I have no clue what would be in there. Thank you.
Thanks. I'm just trying to pull up all the items that fall under that.
Some of the items that fall under there are Parks and Recreation, so that would be the salaries and payments for Putnam and his lifeguards. Also, Tracy Memorial Library falls under that category, and that's a big number for us.
That's a big deal, libraries.
So that clears it up?
Yeah.
Libraries like 650,000.
700.
709.
709.
Yes.
Yep.
Any other questions? Okay. Seeing or hearing none, Kim, should we discuss the $30,000 petition warrant article for conservation?
That's the only petition you have that you have not yet decided on.
Yeah. So Bibi, do you want to let the Budget Committee know what the selectmen chose to do with that?
Sure. The selectmen met on Saturday morning. A motion was made to not recommend this $30,000 be put into the reserve account, and that motion did pass, and the vote was 2-1. I voted not in favor of that motion. It's confusing to not recommend, but anyway, because I wanted to spend some more time meeting with folks at the Conservation Commission, and I also wanted the voters to be able to make the decision on this. So that's the way the board voted.
So I know it'd be nice for the Budget Committee to vote at least what our recommendation is for town meeting. So I'd take any questions or comments from Budget Committee members. Any motions? So we're voting on the recommendation for 30,000, right? Okay. So if you're in favor of the recommendation for, do you want to say something? Or are you, Rich?
No, I was going to say, who's going to make the motion?
Do we need to make the motion, right?
Right, so you need a motion to recommend or not recommend.
Right, that's
either
what
way.
I was going to say.
Yep.
Okay. Does anyone want to make a motion one way or the other?
I'll make a motion to approve.
To recommend? Any seconds?
I'll second it.
Okay. So we have 2 seconds. So the voting would be in favor of the $30,000. So all those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? 1. Okay. So the Budget Committee will recommend $30,000 added for conservation. Okay. Any other business? If not, I have a motion to end the meeting.
The last thing you need to do, you'll be signing your budget
You want to go through the minutes?
Oh, should we go through the minutes? Do we have the minutes, Kim?
Kim spent a lot of time on them, so we should.
all day Sunday, yeah. I didn't make copies. I think we
I don't
have two
have a-
sets, right? Did I even put it
I
on
don't
there?
have a copy of the minutes, so.
Oh.
We
Well,
could
that's bad,
also-
Chris, because they were riveting.
I-
I think they were riveting.
sure they were.
Lynn's are better than mine, but now we have
I-
Cara here. Everybody can welcome Cara as our new recording person. Lynn and I are giving up our,
Hi,
I
Cara.
know we didn't do a great job at it, but Cara, she's good.
John,
I just told her not to get used to this. This was a short one.
we also have an editor if you need an editor,
Yeah.
so.
We depend on John.
Yes, yeah. I'm happy, what's that, Lynn?
Make sure they remember to sign.
Oh, yeah, we'll have to sign for Budget Committee members. I don't have the minutes, but I'm happy to discuss if you have a copy. I didn't bring a copy.
I just have one comment.
Yeah.
On the January 24th minutes on page 3, underneath the finance section, I would just like to note that my comment on the .08% of the budget shouldn't say finance budget. So it's not misconstrued as being the total budget.
Okay.
I just have 2 quick typos. This is the January 19th minutes, page 3, down under town building maintenance. Transfers out are listed as 88,000. It's just, it needs one more zero. And then page 4, under energy projects, I think it says, stated there was an initiative to have all renewable electricity by 2030, and it says renewal. Those are the only two I found.
You're going to take John's job away.
Yeah, I'm taking over John's role.
I don't know if I want to give it up.
So Kim, we're voting on the 24th minutes?
You can vote on them one at a time or both together.
Okay.
As amended, both have to be amended.
Yep, okay. Any motions to accept both at the same time?
So moved.
Any seconds? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No. Before we do end the meeting, I know Kim mentioned it, but I do want to thank Colin, Melissa, who's not here because she's ill, and Hannah for their service. We don't always agree on things, but I think to have a voice and to volunteer your time, a lot of time to not only these meetings, but in preparation for these meetings, I want to thank each of the members of the committee for their time over the last 3 years and for the help for the town. So thank you. Okay, did you have anything?
I just want to remind everybody about our meeting on the 21st.
Yep.
And I will send an email out, and I'll also send an email to the people running for Budget Committee, so maybe they'd like to attend as well.
Do we have any information on any candidate forums?
No, but
Typically, the League of Women Voters has something, I don't know.
Right, we're looking, and if we...
They're working on it.
They're working
Okay.
on it, and I'll make sure to get that out as well.
Okay, all right. I know we have some candidates in the room, so maybe more for them.
Your candidate, see me on the way out.
Excellent.
Right.
Great. Okay, so we have any motion to end the meeting? I heard Lindsay make the motion. I heard Hannah second it. All those in favor? Aye. All right. Thank you, everybody. Amen.